Fire, I want to ask you, man, what are some things you've been doing now since prices have been getting higher to kind of navigate the system?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
No, because think about it. You know why this is a funny question?
Well, let me hear you say mountain.
Fire, what you saying?
Red. Yeah.
Serious thing. We are back, ball head in the
You know,
grave.
the
I want
hot
to say
seats.
thank you to one and all for all the support from those times till now. Fire, what reason about today?
Yeah, before the reasoning to want to tell the people about the upcoming
Sunday,
January 19, R&B and Lovers Rock Games Night at 10:32 Union Street. The Vital Shop on the Ballad and the Dread, you know?
Serious thing.
Nice vibes. You can have some good conversations, meet a whole lot of people. Come have fun, conscious vibration, and included in the price too, you get a wrap, the Bumbo Cloth wrap from Vital
crazy.
Shop, yeah?
You know, serious thing. Yeah.
But the reasoning today is a very interesting reasoning where I think a lot of people, well, almost everybody can relate to this in this time. Like the way the cost of living is high at the moment and the trajectory of the cost of living been going up so rampant. It almost seems like very, very soon in the near future, human beings are going to start eating each other to survive.
Roasting each other on an open fire, right?
Yeah, because the odds, it seems like the odds are stacked against the people consistently. And the way in like, I was looking at a chart recently and I saw like basic items from the supermarket. I know we touch a reasoning about like the prices of things. And then when you look at things from even 2015, I know you look at 2025, 10-year difference, I say the price is almost like 300% increase on some basic items that you use every day. And you know, it's like, it's not realistic. And even for youth like we, you know, we're probably above the average person who was struggling and battering for life, even pay certain bills. Not at that level, we're going to be honest about that.
Yeah.
But even being at a level where you're somewhat comfortable to a certain extent, it still seems unbearable when you think about even the bills, like the basic existence, the things we need for survive. And these companies, it doesn't matter how much profit they make. It doesn't matter how little bit of competition they have. It seems like they just continuously do whatever they want to do to benefit themselves and not the people.
But the thing as far as that, man, like
the system F the people every single day, and it's like,
and it's just, I'm
no
trying
joke.
to figure out like how are people going to survive? Because I was reading a report on how prostitution is skyrocketing, right?
And almost
Both prostitution and convictions of prostitution, right? Also, there's a big rise of scamming fire.
Yeah.
And when we say scamming, it's not a big scale scam. It's just everyday people scamming each other, this and that. Internet full of scammers.
And it's funny too, because once upon a time when you think about scamming, it usually associated with luxury. Luxury and all of these things. But nowadays, even the same type of scamming and people doing illegal activity, there's still basic survival they can't meet. So even then, it really look like things really get sticky.
Because how do you like, me and my wife were having a conversation, pillow talk, that's what they call it. We're having pillow talk. And, you know, we were talking about like, all right, you get this 2-3% raise that they're like patting you on the back and trying to hype you up with, right? Which is screwed up because you know when you get that raise, you get more work.
Yep.
It's really, and if you get a decent raise, I don't call it decent, but actual raise where it's like maybe $3-5 grand, you're going to get a lot of work. So it's pointless at that point, including taxes, right?
Yeah.
But they were talking about the 2-3% raise versus the inflation.
Inflation, yep.
Because you know a lot of people have to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
So when they go back to work now, they're already kind of set in their expenses for the month. Now we're adding in, you know, traveling to work, if you don't have time to cook, buying food there. And that income that you're getting doesn't support this.
They go right back in the system.
You get what I'm saying? It doesn't support this new expense because you have to go back to work, and companies aren't giving people money to buffer traveling expenses and all that type of vibe, you know? So I said all that to say is that we were reasoning to say, like, how are, as you said earlier, how are people surviving? Because remember, a lot of people that have access to credit, and there's another aspect we don't talk about, the illegal underground economy, which was very beneficial to certain people at the end of the day because you were getting some of that money, whether a family member was in it. There was some assistance. It's like the informal government assistance in a sense. that popped down.
Mm-hmm. The system is a fraud. It's like it definitely is a fraud. And when you think about it, like even the minimum wage I mentioned, if you take the whole work out of it, take the work out, they could be giving you the same exact work and don't change your work. It's still a fraud because that 2%, 3% increase. And then when you see minimum wage increase, there's this big PR around minimum wage increase. You see it in every newspaper. Oh, we're doing this. Politicians go up and say, okay, we did a good job. Look, my track record says I was the one who increased minimum wage. Okay, so you didn't show us that the track record was that groceries increased to ice under you. The bills of these utility companies increase their price by X more than that 2%.
Insurance,
health insurance, all of those, all farmer insurance. So when you think about all of the different odds that the same transportation costs. Now that is even the next one because you realize if the big topic where I think one of the biggest topics in America right now, the congestion price.
Yeah.
That is one of the biggest scams.
Explain that for those unaware.
So in like, for example, New York City, which is one of the biggest stocks right now, they have this congestion price where during rush hour, anything below Midtown, anybody going through that part, there's a price, a fee that you have to pay. So that's an additional tool, just to make it simplified, an additional tool just for being that area during the congestion time. Yeah. So imagine now.
So sound like they hustling backwards, fire.
Is the system hustling? Says like, okay, you look at this and say, all right, these areas are definitely congested due to all of these people traveling, and we know the way the city move. Okay, now my solution for this as a politician. Okay, let us go and charge them more, so less people will travel. We know that's not a possibility.
You know they got to travel.
We know they got to travel. We know they got to travel, and then if they don't, then the alternative that the people will use is, okay, they have some garages above above that part of the city. Yeah. They're gonna try to go and rush those garages or wherever, or try for partners. So that congestion move from one place to the next. So that means what you're going to tell me now, based on your solution, is that once that congestion increase from in that northern part of the city, that means you're going to add an additional congestion price now when that part of the city become convoluted. So you see, it's a whole scam to the people to charge them more out of them pocket.
All right. You did you hear about, I heard it, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but someone was telling me that Jersey across the board are trying to do a 30% increase on property taxes.
Yeah, and it in effect to a certain extent already, because they increased property taxes again for
2025. 30%.
I need to do the mathematics.
Because I thought that was kind of wild.
But that increase is very drastic because even very drastic already. We can't do the quick percentage and I made due to the figures. But nonetheless, it increased to 2025 again while being the highest.
My brethren in Florida, the farmer man, he was telling me how they dealing with them wicked down there with increasing. But Fire, I want to ask you, man, what are some things you've been doing now since prices have been getting higher to kind of navigate the system?
I try to figure it out. No, because think about it. You know why this is a funny question? Why you ask that question? It seems funny to me. Yeah. Imagine being disciplined.
Yeah. What else can you cut? Right?
Imagine being disciplined, cutting every single thing that you can cut or you can think of within the immediate.
Yeah, realistic.
And then seeing all of these things being piled up on you again. It's almost like the system forces you to be consistently within their matrix, and there's no time to come out of it because you're always in survival mode.
It kind of stress you out a little bit.
Stress you out. And the stress even reach me a certain way now, because as a creative now, thinking about even projects and all of these things now.
You gotta think.
And funding it even from an independent standpoint. Now it's like the system kind of want to get you away from the creativity. You have to go and think about how you're going to fund it, and then automatically once you're away from the creativity trying to fund this thing, now you get swarmed and back into the whole rush and chaos of things. And it's like people who earning potential and the majority of people on fixed income.
Facts.
That alone is a whole thing. I'm not on fixed income.
Facts.
So that if it reach me and it can reach then it can reach certain people who have a earning potential where you can think outside of the box.
And anyone in the comment section, man, I appreciate it if you could just share things you're doing in this environment to kind of minimize expenses. But I think the main thing too, man, I will say is that you mentioned earlier the stress part. I think you can acknowledge, but you can't dwell in the stress. You know, you say, hey, man, it's kind of stressing me out. At the same time, compartmentalize stuff and analyze stuff and see the perspective or different perspectives on the thing. And be very vigilant and staying healthy in these times. Because what I notice is that, you know, your physical, mental, spiritual health. Because when that declines, the thoughts get a little darker. And you stress yourself out more.
Disease start coming.
And it's just a whole vibe, you know? And I think that during this time too, it's a great time to practice gratitude, not to be like illusionary or anything, but at the end of the day, if I like, yo,
we already exist.
We here. Exist. And the fact that you have a brain and you have a skill set and you have the physical ability to fight back and figure things out is very grateful. You know?
So on a serious note, no mention, it was a joke on a serious note though, but there's two particular things I've been doing. Well, three. You mentioned one already, which is the whole gratitude piece of it and just making sure healthy and then that physical. I think that kind of comes under one banner. Staying active, you know. It's making sure you can keep up from a mental standpoint and a physical standpoint. But two other things is really that budgeting. You see that budgeting, you see that phone we have. I know not a lot of people probably not formal to the aspect where they're gonna write down things to that. But you see that phone we have, that note section of the phone, and these Google, anything we have on Google Drive, all of these basic things that we have to advantage. One thing I've been doing every single bi-weekly or every single month, running through a list of here's the expenses I have. Here's what I'm going to earn for this month. Let's see how realistic things are, and then if there's something on my list that can go. Something on my list that can go, it has to go. Like, for example, maybe be realistic. This is my habit. So, if I spend $200 a month buying herbs, I can spend $100 buying herbs and
being realistic.
And kick back being realistic and know that, hey, this $100 can boost this part.
At the work.
It have to work. So, you have to be just any little small things where you can change.
I think being realistic for it, and I think that along with the gratitude, as you just mentioned, right? You have to identify the things you don't need. So like, you know, if you're a shopper, some people are shoppers out there, I hear, and I'm not saying men don't shop, but because I talk to men, I hear them complaining about their women shopping, right? You may want to delete some of those apps on your phone, because especially Amazon, right? Because what I'm hearing is that some household Amazon come there every day, right? But I think it's the easy access. Like there's no barrier to think to make this decision. So I advise that you delete the app from your phone, and at least it'll give you a little time to do some extra effort. Hopefully that extra effort can deter you from buying stuff. Because a lot of the buying comes down to whether it's loneliness, boredom, shop therapy. You don't really need the item. And if you don't really need the item and finances are tough, just kick back for a little bit.
And I think there's one thing you mentioned Amazon is an observation of recent. Okay, if anybody know Amazon, especially females, you know Amazon really well. You know one thing, that minimum $25 to get that same day shipping and all of that stuff. That is where I think they get caught most of the time.
Push them a little more to spend a little more.
Spend a little more. Even though a lot of the things they're purchasing, even though it might be need from a household, you know, women govern the household. So for example, certain things like was talking about this recently. Like you have 4 seasons, you know, certain women like to clean every season. And then they like to change out different things in the house. Normally when they're changing out things in the house, they realize they need something else to complement it. But probably that's the skill back. Realizing that, hey, for the 4 seasons, I already have 4 different type of curtain. If I have a green curtain and I think I might want a yellow curtain, it might seem like a need to you because you're saying this is a household item and we're going to be cleaning. But sacrifice that yellow curtain and stick with the green you have, because you have to realize that regardless of you seeing it as a need, because you know, normally when people throw things on the household, it seems like a need, but not everything in that seems like a need from a household perspective is a need. It's really a want. Because
I'm actually going to put the definition up in the video here so people understand the difference between need and want.
Because that need and want is always based on our mind and how we really interpret things. Again, that concept of it going to the household makes it seem like a need. But if you really think about it, you already have something to cover that. So that might be the sacrifice, just sticking with what you have already, knowing that this can do the job. It might not be the most pleasing to your eye based on what you were used to or what you had in your original intention. But you can work with it So maybe that is going to be the solution for you not spending that $20-25 that would add up if you do it 5 times 125.
And I'm glad you shared that you're a herbalist still. You're a herb man, because some people who have vices that are detrimental, this is probably the time where you may want to tone down on it a little bit and take up new behaviors. But I think, as I said, I like challenging times. I like challenging moments, because throughout history, my own personal life, I've learned the most from it. And you can do the same thing too, if you approach it with the proper perspective. But I think now, especially, things are getting more expensive. I think it's definitely a time to create new habits and challenge yourself to be present, challenge yourself not to be stressed out, challenge yourself and learn skill sets, do your research, whether online or read books, or if you know a knowledgeable person on how to manage stress. Because what I learned in my short life is that life is stressful regardless. There's always stuff going on. Don't get it twisted.
That not gonna change.
So you can't look for this like peaceful
utopic minds.
You have to create that. And when I say peaceful, it's not, you're gonna be 24/7 in no yoga stance or something. No, but you can minimize those levels where you have stress, and when you find yourself getting stressed, so you have to ask yourself, why is this? How far is this? Like, if I'm thinking about something 4 weeks away, it's like, kind of tricky, bro. Because there's so many probabilities on how this thing could work out. I have to be present today to get the fullness of today. Only thing I would ask myself, what can I do today to make that situation a little better? Hold yourself accountable and do that thing and try it and do what you're doing.
Because every man must go through tribulation, and that is a definitely given. That is a given. And I like how you mentioned that too, because the main thing with most people is it's usually futuristic stuff that stress people out.
Way out there, Fire. I'm talking about years, decades. Like I've been there, Fire. I've been there, because listen.
So you neglect the now in terms of worrying about the future, and that now in turn disrupt every single thing within the now.
And the coolest thing about neglecting the now, I think, is that not only you don't get to really be present and see the beauty of life. You're rough on yourself. You don't see the beauty within yourself, and it really hurts your relationships. If I learned this, listen, I don't know if I was telling you this, but I was like, man, I have so much more understanding for people, because I could say a lot of people, I've never met the true person or them on a certain heights, because they're always so stressed. You ever meet somebody that's stressed, then you're around them when they're not stressed? It's like two different
people. Yep.
Real talk, right?
Yep.
So it's like, man, I never
personality
really,
change.
You see it. So it's like, man, this person's going through much. I'm not seeing the true nature and the beauty of this person. So I can't really judge, because they're struggling with processing whatever they're going through. Whether I view it as big or small, they're struggling with processing that. And I think in these times of what we would say struggle or whatever, I think these times are great to really reach a new heights within yourself. But more than anything, because I hear people say they're stressed out. All right, so this is the time now. If it's a stressful situation, what is the greatest time? This is the greatest time to learn stress management, because the stress management helps you throughout your life, especially you have children. They see how you conduct yourself. They see you in certain situations and see how you move, how you're not flustered and all over the place. And if it does happen, it's for a short period of time. So if you're stressed out, instead of you being stressed out for 24 hours carrying on with people, you're down to 30 minutes, or you're down to 15 minutes, or you're down to 5 minutes, because you say, yo, this thing bothering me. But you get what I'm saying. Now, I'm not asking you to be in la-la land and disregard stuff, because that's the next thing people tell you. Like, you're acknowledging that, saying this is a stressful situation, right? But there are two options. Is there anything I could do about it, or there's nothing I could do about it? If there's nothing I could do about it, we just got to accept that.
But the system, that's why I hate the system.
Yeah.
I hate the system. Like, the system realize all of this that you mentioned, and then play on it for their own benefit.
Facts.
But when you think about it, the same people voting the peoples who represent the people who represent them in the system, and they abused all of that power and feed off of the weakness of the people. So every single time somebody gets stressed, I have something to solve your stress.
It's not beneficial.
And then financially, it's gonna drain them again. And we all know how much of a role finance play into these stressful situations. And the system is just, okay, I'm gonna increase my profit. That's cool. You want to stress? Hey, I have something again for that new level of stress. To calm you out again, and I'm gonna make more money, and it's like it just drain the people. The system is just like the system F the people every single day.
Hey, Midnight have a lyric on Beauty for Ashes album. I forgot the tune, but he basically say how in the medical journals they did a study showing how addiction correlates with financial stress. Remove the financial stress, they leave the substance alone. Paraphrasing, So if we're aware that the system is out here to stress you out, you have to be very...
Most not aware though. me tell it from an aware standpoint. Most people not even aware. That's so crazy it is.
Yeah, you have to be very vigilant in protecting yourself because...
It's crazy.
Speaking of the system, last thing I want to say before I cut is that we have to reprioritize what's important to us. And I think that's a de-stressor also. And also configuring your own criteria for success. I think that's a de-stressor because that criteria of success that we've been given by the system, that's unattainable, unsustainable, burn you out fighting. Because you're fighting against something that's not real. It's an idea that you can't grab it.
Yeah.
And it's burning people out. And at the same token, you need to figure out what really works for you. And what works for you is not necessarily the blueprint you've been given. So let it be, fire, and live your life.
Don't afraid to start a whole new road too.
Yeah, thing,
cut down the whole the foundation of the corruption will reach you to within the system.